Welcome guys to my creative corner. This is Cottage. Today we're going to be making cards. We're going to be mixing patterns to make multiple cards. So I am using 3 different prints, and these prints are nice and soft. So they are water wash colors. So we have stripes and we have dots. And so we have black and white. We have what we call our pool party blue, and Calypso coral is that peachy color. And this is double-sided printed paper, and the opposite side has very busy patterns. So we're going to be working with the softer patterns, and we're going to be making multiple cards. So I'm going to be making cottage style cards, which is nice, warm and fuzzy and fun cards versus the usual sterile serious cards. I'm making this with my mom in mind. Mother's Day is coming around the corner, and I have several other mothers that I'll be making cards for too as well. The base of the cards that I'm going to be using is going to be in white, and those are measuring 5.5 by 8.5, and then you're going to fold it in half at the 4 1/4 mark. The layers, the top layers are all going to be 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. So I'm starting out with the polka dot layer, and I had a leftover piece of the stripe, the Calypso coral stripe. I'm going to lay that on the lower third of this black and white polka dot layer. So I'm going to mix a lot of my different stamp sets for the different images, as well as for the different sentiments, as well as the font of the sentiments. And I'm using the country home, which is fitting for this. So I'm going to stamp out the metal flower pot image, the one that looked like a picture, and I'm going to use my Memento black ink because I'll be creating with our alcohol markers throughout this tutorial. So I'm going to go ahead and take our alcohol markers, and this is in our Flirty Flamingo. We have a dark one and we have the lighter one. So I'm going to start out with the dark around the edges. You just give it a nice shading. Then after that, I'm going to come in with a lighter color and blend that out. My mom grew up around farm animals, milking the cow, churning butter. So this style is right up her alley. Here on this channel, I create projects using stamps, inks, papers, mixed media, embellishments, and a whole lot of joy. So if you're new to my channel and you like this kind of stuff, please consider hitting that subscribe button as well as the bell icon so you can be notified when I upload my latest videos. And I upload my videos every week. I'm going to come back in with the darker marker along the edges once again, because I want the center to be a little lighter to give the illusion of metal. You could also use your color lifter along the center of your image, just so you could get that appearance of it being a little lighter in the middle. I'm going to come in with my scissors and cut my image out, and I'm just going to leave a little white around the edges. So I'm going to cut a slit by the handle to get that white layer out. Once you glue this down, no one would know the difference that you cut a slit there by the handle. I'm also going to make a slit at the mouth of the metal container to have an opening to put my flowers through. I'm going to be using the perennial stamp set, which gives you beautiful water images. I stamped out a couple of the smaller flower images in the Mango Melody, which is an orange yellow. I'm going to take my black gel pen and add a dot to the center of my flower. Then I'll hand cut those out. Now I'm using a Feel of Flower stamp set that also has a little punch for the smaller flowers. I'm going to also use the stem from that stamp set and stamp that out in our old olive. And I'm going to use the Mango Melody for the smaller flowers. And I'm going to take a sticky note, add to the end of that cardstock because it would help it to fit through my punch a little better. Line those flowers out and then punch that out. And I'm going to hand cut my stem. And I'm going to bring in my handy black gel pen and add some dots to those smaller flowers. So let's bring in the layer that we started with. I'm going to put my stem through the top of the opening, that slit that I made, so you could have the appearance or illusion that the flower bouquet is coming or sitting within the metal container. I'm going to make sure that opening is glued to the stem. I'm going to bring in my foam pad as well as my stylet, and I am just going to do circular motions to those flowers to give it a little dimension. I'm going to turn it over and add that circular motion to the center as well. Just pop those petals up. I'm going to take the metal container and just add some circular motions to that metal container so it could pop up too as well. What I love most about the Pretty Perennials stamp set is the sentiment happy. I love the font and I love the size of it. So I'm going to use my Memento black ink to ink that up. I'm taking a chance not using our Stamparatus. You know, with these larger images, it's nice for the Stamparatus because if you miss a spot, you could go right over it again. I'm going to use the Happy Mother's Day from the Dress to Impress stamp set. And I'm going to take some washi tape to cover up the word happy because I just want Mother's Day. I'm going to ink that up in the Memento black ink. Don't forget to remove your washi tape. I'm going to take a white piece of scrap cardstock and stamp that on that. Then I'm going to bring my small trimmer out. Just create a border around Mother's Day. You could use your scissors for this as well, but I want nice clean lines. I choose to use my smaller trimmer. So I'm going to be using our basic black Stampin' Right marker, and I'm going to use the smaller writing point, and I'm going to add some stitch marks to border the Mother's Day sentiment. So you want to organize your layout how you would like it to lay. So I'm going to add some dimensionals to the back of the floral pot. We're going to remove the back ends off of the dimensionals. Then we're going to stick that onto that top layer right below the Calypso coral strip. Then we're going to add some dimensionals to our flowers, and we're going to pop that on to the stem, and 3 flowers is a good number. I'm going to also pop up the Mother's Day sentiment, and I'm going to use the larger dimensionals. 3 should be fine. I'm going to use my tweezers to hover over just below the happy sentiment to see exactly where I want it to be placed. And I think I'm going to lay it on a slant. Next, what I'm going to do is take our trio punch. I'm going to round out the corners, and you're just going to see the look that it gives. See, I should have rounded out the corners before I add those dimensionals because it's kind of hard to get those in there with the height. You see the difference, the different look when you round your corners out? So that look of cottage feel farmhouse is coming together. I'm going to take my same basic black writing marker and put those stitches along the edges of this layer. Next, I'm going to take my multi-purpose glue and add it to the back of that top layer, then add that top layer to the base of our card. So it's looking a little plane down to the left, lower left. So I'm going to add a little bit of rhinestones there on top of that calypso coral strip. It's still looking a little empty, so I'm going to add those tiny little flowers to the base of the flower pot. And then the handle, I'm going to make sure I secure that with some liquid glue. I'm going to use these big sentiments, thinking of you, and that sentiment is from our Rooted in Nature stamp set. I'm going to stamp that the inside in Memento black ink. I'm also going to add that perennial flower. It's a nice beautiful watercolor in the Mango Melody, that orange yellow color. And I'm going to stamp it right above the thinking of you sentiment. Isn't that gorgeous? I'm just going to add those little dots in the inside of the flower, bring that together. And isn't that beautiful? I love it. Okay, so next what I'm going to be using for the second design, for the second card design, I'm going to be using our tailor tag punch, which has like a sort of a diamond shape to it. And I'm going to take those 3 different printed paper design and punch out several of those shapes. So for our top layer is going to be this white cardstock measuring 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. We're going to lay out our design, how we would like them to go first before we glue them down. So I'm going to start designing from the middle on out, and I'm going to start with a calypso coral, and I'm going to go ahead and glue those down with my multi-purpose glue, and I'm going to start to build out from there. Keep in mind, I'm just trying to leave a little bit of white space in between. So whatever cardstock you have, you just want to leave a little bit of that color out, and that's going to give it that nice look. If you guys are getting any creative value from this video, please go ahead and smash that like button down below. The nice thing about using these neutral colors is you could add whatever colors you want on top to make it pop, whether it's your reds, your greens, your yellows. But the base colors, the blue, the pink, and the black and white is neutral. And you could make several different cards with your 12 by 12 designer series paper. And I just like how clean the white cardstock for the base looks. And you guys, I'm using my silicone mat to the bottom to protect my surface area. So we're going to have 4 little corners that we need to fill. But once we cut those shapes off, we're going to glue those pieces in. So you're going to flip it over and cut along the close to the edges, so you get a nice clean even cut. You could use your trimmer if you would like, and make sure your glue is nice and dry before you cut those off. So next I'm going to search for some pieces that would fit into that spot. So I want my black and white pieces and plus my blue stripes. So you're going to just use your leftover scraps to fill in the blank areas. So you're going to flip that over once again, cut your edges off. Now I am going to bring out another metal floral pot, And I am going to add a little bit of rustic look to it. So I'm using our pumpkin pie alcohol marker to add a little rust to it. I'm going to blend that out with our color lifter. And then I'm going to come in with our smoky slate gray, the dark and the light. So I'm going to start out with the dark first, just trim around the parameters with that. Then I'm going to blend it out with the lighter marker. And I'm just going to try to have the same effect with the middle of that canister being a little lighter. Then they have a little piece for the sentiment enjoy and that little oval shape. So I stamped that and cut the oval shape out. I'm going to get my stylus and add circular motion to the canister to give it a little dimension. And then I'm going to glue that little sentiment to the front of it that says enjoy. So keeping with the theme, I'm going to round out the top layer. I was undecided if I should round it out. What you guys prefer, it squared or rounded? I'm going to go ahead and get the base of my card, fold that down in half. You're going to add your multi-purpose glue to the back of that layer and stick it onto the base of your card. I'm going to pop up the floral container with some dimensionals, and I'm just going to add some of those yellow flowers, just 3 to the top of that canister. Then I'm going to take my Stamparatus because I'm going to use the same sentiment happy. And because they have the different layers and grooves, I want to make sure this got stamped off nicely. So I am going to stamp that in Memento black ink. I am taking some paper towel to rub that on so the friction don't be so tight. You could see with the H it didn't come out that well. So I'm going to run this through a couple times. I did it about 3 times. You know what, and I forgot to use my foam pad underneath there, as the imprint would have been a little better. So when you're using your Stamparatus and your photopolymer stamps, make sure you use your foam pad underneath. As before, I'm going to stamp the words Mother's Day. I am going to mask off the word happy. I'm going to use my Memento black ink and stamp Mother's Day right underneath the happy. Then I'm going to take my Stampin' Right marker in the basic black and do my stitching around. I think these are gorgeous. It reminds me of Raggedy Ann and Andy. So we're going to go ahead and stamp the inside. With this one, I'm going to stamp Thinking of You Again. You could see I did the rust color here with the pool party and this particular floral pot, and I'm just going to add that to the inside as well as one of the flowers in blue. And there we have it. I'm going to bring out all the designs that I created. Tell me down in the comments which one of the design is your favorite design, if any. Thank you guys for tuning into my creative corner. This is Claudette, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.